Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show Lady Boss knows what women want: to be free to speak their voice, to live in financial freedom, and build businesses that radiate wealth, leaving legacies we can be proud of. Every Friday, we bring you Lady Boss entrepreneurs that are changing the world. Diane Solano, the energy entrepreneur. Dana Terrio, handle the lump, heal your life. And Joan Sharp, changing the conversation from money to vision. See you Fridays. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you. Today, we're going to talk about the state of the health in the United States. What is the state of the health of our health in the United States? We're going to talk about our physical body. We're going to talk about optimization and, moving into higher potentials of living and being, and so that we can really build a thriving, sustaining life and feeling healthy and feeling good. And how do we do that? So, in order to really talk about this on a deeper level, I want to tell you about my guest today, Nita Kasan. And Nita is a master's prepared registered nurse whose professional career has ranged from critical care to flight nursing to serving as a lieutenant commander in the United States Naval Reserve Nurse Corps to chief nursing officer and chief operating officer roles in multiple hospitals throughout the United States. Nita is currently the principal and owner of two organizations that support the coaching, mentoring, and healthcare leadership needs of hospitals nationwide. In addition to her healthcare business focus, Nita has a passion for helping herself and others upgrade their body, their mind, and their lives through the proven science of biohacking and ketones. This passion led to another hat that Nita wears, which is that of a promoter and brand ambassador with a company called Prove It, and a product that is on the forefront of truly transforming just about every aspect of health. In this role, Nita helps people accelerate their body's ability to burn fat for fuel, independent of diet and exercise. And during this session today on this podcast, she's going to tell us exactly how she does that and how she helps many others do that too. Welcome to the show today, Nita.
Thank you so much, Cornelia. It's great to see you again. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm excited to talk to your audience today. So thank you so much.
Wow, you've had quite the training.
Yeah, I know it's kind of, very opportunistic. You see an opportunity, you go for it. And sometimes you don't realize you've got 3 or 4 things going on at the same time and you exhaust yourself, but yeah, it's all been awesome. It's all been awesome.
So it's all been, it sounds like being a nurse is all about healthcare, and you've had, in various different forms that you're supporting your nursing career. And then also all of that, what it relates to health and well-being and the physical body. And so do you want to give us a little backstory of what took you from back then to led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I've been a nurse for so many years, and I just have, I've had such an amazing career. You mentioned a few things. There's just it's one of those careers where you can have multiple careers within one profession, basically, because there's so many different options, and I've taken advantage of so many of them. It's really been amazing, and I'm very very proud to be a nurse and very proud to be involved with healthcare. Um, but I've done a lot of different things, very clinical at the bedside with the flight nursing, with the critical care, all the things you mentioned. But I did end up in administration, which was a wonderful opportunity as well, just because it allowed me to impact more nurses, more patients, and just was a really great opportunity. But probably about 10 or so years ago, I did have the opportunity to start my own business, decided to shift gears, stepped outside of the hospital, started a healthcare consulting and executive recruitment firm, which is what I still do today, one of the things you mentioned. And I have been able to, continue with nursing down that realm. But along the way, I also got introduced to the product that you mentioned and the business that you mentioned. And because of my personal passion for health and for what I discovered with this product and with this company, decided to kind of wear that other hat and get involved from the business perspective as well. So kind of doing both things now, and loving all of it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, looking at you when you were talking about your nursing career. And what came to mind for me when you were talking about it, that because you said there were so many options and that you explored all the options within the nursing, and you milked it in every way, and stepped
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
milked it in every way, milking, nurturing. It's again,
Yeah,
nurturing and life force energy and sustaining and healthy and well-being, all in that realm. So
yeah,
good for you. And then now you're continuing on doing both, but at the same time you are now an ambassador for the company called Pruitt, and we're going to go into that here in a little bit. But let's shift the focus and look at what the state of health is in the United States. I think that's a really big important piece, because we
yeah,
are evolving. And the
yeah.
same thing that what we used to do, what we used to believe, the things that we used to feel like was sustaining us is not sustaining us anymore, and is actually going against us. And so
So
what is
true.
the state of the health in the United States today?
It's not good. And I think, we can just kind of look around us and see that. But one of the things that I always like to share is, because, statistics don't really lie. I mean, maybe you can twist them a little bit, but for the most part, they don't lie. And one of the statistics from the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, that I think is really, really very telling, is that 6 in 10 Americans have at least one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 Americans actually have two or more. So, kind of let that sink in for a minute. I mean, that's incredible. 60%, have one, 40% have at least two. That alone is very, very different from, where we've gone. I should have pulled the picture up, but there's a picture of the United States over the past 30 years or so that kind of shows the level of obesity in the United States over, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. And it gets darker as the level of obesity increases. And we're at a very dark place. I mean, when you look at the colors changing over those years, and actually, if you look at the percentage of obesity in the United States, we're about 40%, just with obesity. And if you combine that with what would be considered overweight, it represents about 70% of the population. So we've kind of become so adapted to that. We kind of look at it like this is normal to be overweight and to be even reaching levels of obesity. And it's not normal. If you can correlate the levels of obesity with the levels of chronic disease, they're just completely intertwined. And so I think, that's a part of my passion, certainly for myself. As I continue to get older, I want to stay as healthy as possible, but also just because of wanting other people to know that you can change things. I mean, even if somebody is, sitting there, 200 pounds overweight with four chronic diseases, you can turn your life around. I've seen it, thousands of times. And that's a part of my passion, is wanting people to know and understand that there are some tools out there that can help, because it's a very defeating process sometimes. So But yeah, so the state of health is it's very challenged. Um, and we really do have to turn it around, and you mentioned something about, kind of the shift in thinking. And if you kind of go back and look at when we started to focus on the low fat craze, we felt that if we eat fat we're going to get fat. Well, that's what made us fat, and we've learned that over time. And we're kind of at the point where there is an understanding, based on all the research and everything now, that we are able to see that it isn't fat that makes us fat, it's carbohydrates that makes us fat. And we can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and it's also carbohydrates that, make us uh, sick.
Sick, exactly,
It's
exactly.
carbohydrates that make us sick. So there's that. And really, we have to shift our whole system around the education that we have
Yeah,
received from our world about how to eat, what to eat. We have to shift that whole way of thinking. And but
yeah,
also when you have people that are 100 pounds overweight, 50 pounds overweight, 200 pounds overweight, you know, at this stage of the game, people have gotten to the point where they don't know what to believe anymore, and they don't
exactly.
know what to trust anymore. And actually, when you said that, people think it's, normal for us to be this way, it's almost like at this stage of the game, it's like they don't know where to even begin anymore,
Yeah,
and how to make that shift, because that hope part has been given up. Because how many diets have we
I
been
know.
sold? How many programs and lies have we been told over the, you mentioned 30 years ago,
Right,
how many times, been on every diet roller coaster you can think of. And so
exactly,
then you get to a
exactly.
point where you just give up. It's like you don't know what else
Yeah,
to do. You don't know what else to trust or what
right.
else to do, right?
Yeah, and think about it. It's, we all have goals. We all have, physical goals, whatever that might be. Even for the fittest of people, they still have goals. Maybe it's competing, maybe it's, whatever. But you know I think that what happens to so many people, and I think we've all experienced this, where we know that we want to change our lives, our physical lives, we want to change our health, and we can wake up in the morning and we can just be like, okay, this is it, today's the day. I'm inspired, I'm ready to go, I'm good to go, I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat healthy. We wake up with that drive, and a lot of times by about midday, it goes to hell. I mean, it's, you're hungry, you're, whatever it might be. And then you feel like, I just can't do it. And so there's that defeatist, kind of thing. And I think that's why one of the reasons, as we talk about, ketones and some of these things related to that, I think that's why it's so important for people to understand the tools that can help bridge that gap, from where you are to where you want to go, and not necessarily have to experience that defeatist, approach along the way.
Yeah. I'm really glad we're talking about this today, because really it is about educating and
Yeah.
becoming aware that there is actually help and
Yeah.
support that people can implement in their lives right now. You mentioned the word ketones.
Mhm.
Do you want to touch on that right now? What are ketones?
Yeah. Very simply stated, ketones are a fuel. And if you think about, what are carbohydrates? Carbohydrates become glucose, and glucose is a fuel. So most people are working off of glucose as their body's fuel, their body's energy, every single day. And that's because we eat a lot of carbohydrates. I mean, when you look at the average amount, the standard American diet, and look at the percentage of carbohydrates, it's typically around 65% of your diet, most people's diets. That's a lot of carbohydrates. And if you just think about what happens, it's like you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, your body turns that into glucose. The glucose is giving you the energy. But the problem is, if you have too much glucose, it gets stored in your fat cells. We can't eliminate it. It gets stored in your fat cells, and that's what makes us fat, and that's what makes us sick. On the other hand, if you go back to the day we were born, we were actually born in what's called ketosis. And all that means is that we had ketones in our bloodstream. And so babies are born in ketosis, and they actually stay in ketosis as long as they are breastfeeding. And then once they start shifting the diet, that all starts to change. And I share that only because I want people to understand that ketones and ketosis are our natural state. If you think back to, many, many, many years ago when people didn't have McDonald's on every corner, they had to grow their own food, they had to kill for their food, whatever it was, they were basically, you're in ketosis. Their body it didn't have the overload of carbohydrates, so it was producing ketones. So here's what happens. If you just start to decrease the amount of carbohydrates that you're taking in, um, your body will start to, just through a process with your liver and whatever, your body will say, oh my goodness, I don't have enough fuel, so I need to create fuel. So it goes through an internal process where the body then starts to break down the fat cells, and that ends up resulting in ketone molecules in your system, in your blood system. And those ketone molecules now become your energy source. And the thing that's so amazing about that is that your body, your muscles, and especially your brain actually prefer ketones for their fuel source versus glucose. And there's a whole lot of reasons around that. But a lot of people, and it's really amazing to me, a lot of people have never even heard the word ketone. They don't know what they are. But a lot of people have heard about the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
And the impression that I think, most people, or what most people understand about the ketogenic diet, is that it is extremely difficult to follow, but it's extremely beneficial from a health perspective. And those are both true. That's very true. But if you think about a ketogenic diet, basically means that you are significantly decreasing the amount of carbohydrates that you're taking in. I mean, down to the point of about 3 to 5%. And what I just mentioned was that the typical standard American diet is about 65%. So that's a huge difference. 3 to 5% carbohydrates means maybe a handful, a couple of strawberries, maybe a half a piece of bread, something. It's very, very restrictive. So it's very low in carbohydrates, very high in fats. If someone, and a lot of people will follow the ketogenic diet, it's extremely beneficial for their health. Um, and that's wonderful. But most people find it, even me, find it very difficult to follow that much of a restrictive diet. So so up until 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, the only way to get your body into ketosis and start using ketones for your body's fuel was to follow the ketogenic diet. Um, but now, today, you're able to drink a drink that is actually putting ketones into your system and is putting your body into ketosis within less than an hour. Why is that important? Okay, so when you have ketones in your system, when you are in ketosis, your body, because it's using ketones for fuel, you start to experience some pretty amazing things. You start to have decreased appetite, decreased cravings. You start to have increased energy, increased productivity, increased clarity, and decreased brain fog. You sleep better, you have a better mood, you have better muscle preservation, you have better strength. You put all of that together, that's pretty powerful. I mean, if you were to ask people, what do you struggle with, physically, what do you struggle with? It's probably the opposite of one of those. I can't sleep, I eat too much, I'm in a terrible mood every day, I can't build up my muscle, I can't build up my strength. So when you look at the benefit of ketones and ketosis, it's phenomenal. So, now to know that there is actually something that you can drink to put your body in ketosis, and you don't have to follow that restrictive ketogenic diet that we were talking about. I mean, if you're doing that, great. But if that's too difficult, you're able to drink the ketone drinks and get into that level of ketosis and start to experience some or all of those benefits that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an amazing shift in being able to drink the drink and get into ketosis with the drink that's helping you to move into that, because like you said, you could do it with the ketogenic diet, or you can even
Right.
get into ketosis fasting, right? You can get
Yeah.
into ketosis
Yes,
intermittently.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And so now the drink helps you to be able to do that. I want to right away be able to send people to more information of where to look more into this, what we're talking about here. Do you have a place to send them to, like?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. The easiest link is ketonita.com, ketonita.com, ketonita.com. And there's a lot of information on there. So you can just click in different areas if someone is looking for more information. But there's also three options for customers. One is a trial pack if somebody just wants to try the ketones. The other is a 10-day challenge pack. And then the third is the whole store, which actually then a lot of different options, different flavors. And for those that can see us, I'll just kind of share a little bit. This is the trial pack. So when people order the trial pack, it actually is it's a nice little pack. It comes with 3 packets of ketones. It has some information, directions, and so that's a great way if people want to just try it. The second option that I mentioned is it's a 10-day ketone challenge, and this is a mixture of multiple flavors, half caffeinated and half non-caffeinated. So a lot of people will start with that, drink the caffeinated one in the morning, drink the non-caffeinated one later in the day, and be able to taste a couple different flavors, and then decide, if they want to continue, what flavors they really like and might want to order. And then there's also, as I mentioned, on the overall store, the ketones come in a lot of different flavors. They're all awesome, but my favorite is the raspberry lemonade. But that's kind of what they look like, and the packets are either going to be in that shape that I was just showing you, or they will come in this type of a packet. They're both the same, just different packaging, along the way. But if people go to ketonita.com, first of all, my contact information is there. People can call me, reach out to me, text me, whatever. But then there's additional information that they can click on and just watch some of the videos and things. But then there's the 3 options for customers. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I absolutely, and it just getting on a phone call to talk about somebody's goals and where do I start kind of thing. Love to help people.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it is about. I mean, we want to
Yeah,
really shift the state of the health that
exactly.
America, that we are currently in, and really, start moving into reversing some of these, uh, you know, bad habits that we've put ourselves in. I'm currently on the keto, on
The 10
the,
day.
yeah, the 10
Oh,
day.
yeah, I didn't know you were trying that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I've got that, and I'm really, I was so surprised at, I thought that it tastes sweet.
Yeah.
Did not think that it would be a sweet tasting drink, and then even with the bone broth, it had the bone broth as well. So I'm testing it out. I was already an intermittent faster, so for
Mhm.
me, that was already a part that I had, this lifestyle that I had already been doing for years now. But after I went into menopause, and then over the last couple of years, I put on a little bit of extra weight that really I wanted to, get rid of now, and
Yes, yes.
change. And so that's why I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to get the support for myself, and to see if I can make things better. Because again, it's not about working out in the gym 1 to 2 hours a
Yes.
week, and follow the standard American diet. That is not what it is about. There is a
Exactly.
whole new system out here that we can follow. And obviously, what you're talking about, the company Pruitt is, it's been around for what, 5 years now, or
About 6 years. Yeah, about 6 years.
yeah.
Hmm.
So they are on the
So
leading edge of supporting people to move into ketosis quicker with this drink, and so it's a good place to begin. But right now, what people should do is they should message you. They should go
yeah,
to, what is it again? The link.
ketonita.com, ketonita.com. You'll find me there, my all the information you need. Yep. Thank
Yes.
you.
So people should go there and go check it out to get more information and really start taking their health and well-being into their own hands. And
Exactly.
don't give up if you're feeling like, oh my God, this is too much. I just can't take it. If you're listening to this, you were meant to hear it. So that's one thing I want to say. The other thing, I want to thank you so much, Nita, for being here, sharing this with our audience. Go download the Kornelia Stephanie KS Media MEDIA group app from the App Store, from the Play Store, and download the app on your phone, where a lot of today's world's best leading influencers and practitioners are there to support you to live your best life. We always invite you to play with us in the universal question each week, and we're waiting for you to join us. So stay tuned, everyone. The Shift is next with Diane McClay and Trish Campbell. We'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye. You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Kornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.